Hello, Wargamers. Exciting news today, as has been happening a lot as of late. We got some info on the Tau Decurion formations, the Tau Hunter cadres that you can take, and all sorts of special rules that come with it. I'm here on the Bulls website, and you can check out the story in the link below, of course. But let's kind of get into it. It's stuff from the Kaon book. It should also be in the updated Tau Codex. I guess just a note on that, of course, the rumors right now are saying that there's not going to be a drastic change to the existing units other than the ones that have already had rules released, specifically Fire Warriors and Crisis Suits. But the Codex, you can actually just keep your old Codex and then buy this Kaon supplement, and that will give you all the rules you need. Of course, the supplement here is more expensive than the actual new codex that will be released, but you get some extra stuff in it too, so it's a judgment call on your part if that extra money is worth it. But yeah, so if you don't want to buy the new codex and instead want to spend your money on the supplement, you can. Otherwise, you can get the new codex and have all this in it and just miss out on the Warzone parts of the supplement there. So yeah, so that's cool. But getting into the actual formation, it's the Hunter Contingent, and it consists of 0 to 1 command units and one or more basic formations. So those are detailed above here, and then everything else is an auxiliary unit, of which you have to take 1 to 10 of. So a command formation is just one commander or Shadow Sun. 0-1 Ethereals or Unva or Unshi, 1 to 2 Crisis Bodyguards, and that's the command unit. And you don't have to take one of those unless you want to, but it seems like it's the only way to get an Ethereal in the Hunter Contingent formation. Otherwise, you have to take a CAD or something else in order to get an Ethereal. But you're going to be tempted to use this contingent, and I'll tell you why in a moment here. The Hunter Cadre consists of 1 commander, 0 to 1 Fire Blades, 0 to 1 Crisis Bodyguards, 3 to 6 Strike teams, Breacher teams, or Kroot units, 1 to 3 Stealth units, Ghost Kills, Riptides, or Crisis units, 1 to 3 Scouts, which I'm assuming are Pathfinders, Piranhas units, Vespid units, or drone units, and then 1 to 3 broadsides, hammerheads, storm surges, or sniper units. And this basic unit, this basic formation, the Hunter Cadre, has it says here defensive fire at 12 inches. I'm assuming that's supporting fire. So instead of having to be 6 inches apart, you can be an entire foot apart from another unit and still fire defensive, or see, there we go, fire supporting fire, and then you can run and then shoot in that order. So that itself is huge. That means that your well, this really influences your Fire Warrior teams and your Kroot teams, as well as some of this, some of your other stuff. But really, just those troop options can now move and then shoot, which helps them stay a little bit more mobile and survive a little bit longer and keep out of close combat, which is nice. But really, what is the impressive aspect here is when you take this whole Decurion-style formation, the Hunter Contingent, you can reroll your Warlord trait, which, you know, that's nice. But the bacon, the cherry on top, the creme de la creme, is that units can combine their shooting attacks and shoot as if they were a single unit. So they can benefit from special rules and the same marker light. For example, this is really, oh yeah, he says this is really, really powerful. And yeah, that's clear. So basically, units in the Hunter Contingent can combine their fire, basically firing as one unit while still moving independently, entering close combat independently, and all sorts of things like that. But they can fire as a single unit on a single target and all benefit from from any special rules inferred to that unit, and benefit from the marker lights, at least as it sounds here. So that severely reduces the number of actual marker lights you need in your army, because then if you have a bunch of units firing at a single target, which is often the case for things that you use marker lights on, like Death Star units, knights, things that are really durable that you really want to hit hard, you're going to be firing multiple units on. And with this special rule, they can all benefit from a single group of marker lights, as opposed to having redundant marker lights for each unit. So that's really, that makes a huge difference in your marker light economy. It also means that things like the buff commander are insane. Just think about having a buff commander in one unit and then having 3 other units tag along in the shooting phase and benefiting from all of his special rules. It's almost obscene. You know, if you thought the buff commander broke 40k last edition, hold on to your britches, I guess. Hold on to your bolt pistols, because it's going to get a lot worse. But you know, hey, that's a good thing for Tau. It's a good thing for Tau, especially with all the Eldar trickery and Necron resiliency out there, and Thunderwolf poop. We'll go with poop out there. They need some help. So it's great for them, at least. The auxiliary units, at least how this seems to be set up here, includes a retaliation cadre, which is 1 commander, 3 units of crisis suits, 1 broadside unit, 1 riptide unit. This formation has the relentless special rule, and they get plus 1 ballistic skill when deep striking. They may choose to enter from reserves in turn 2 via deep strike, including the broadsides, which normally cannot deep strike. The infiltration cadre includes 3 Pathfinder units, 2 stealth suit units, 1 Piranha unit, and has a special rule that if one of those units is destroyed, the rest of the formation can enter from reserves the next turn automatically without needing to roll. And if an enemy unit gets hit by 3 or more marker lights from the formation, a free Seeker Missile hits that unit. So I presume that means that you don't actually have to have a Seeker Missile, they just take a Seeker Missile hit, supposedly from some magical Seeker Missile box off the board or something like that. The Fire-based support cadre, which is familiar to us as Tau players. 2 units of battle suits. It doesn't specify broadsides, although I would presume that it's still broadsides, and 1 unit of riptides, which may be 1 to 3 now. 1 to 3 units, 1 to 3 riptides in a unit. That was a rumor going around earlier. I don't know if that's been confirmed or rejected yet, but 1 unit of riptides. So we'll see how that plays out. But it says, note that they do not have to be max size like before, so you could just have individual broadside suits as your 2 units. But the special rules that they benefit from are not as great. It says the formation can combine their shooting attacks and shoot as a single unit. When doing so, they get Tank Hunter and Monster Hunter special rules. So no longer is that just native. They have to all fire at the same unit, and then they get Tank and Monster Hunter. And it does not say anything about the Space Marine special rules, so they may no longer have preferred enemy Space Marines. So it's really not as good as it was before, which is unfortunate. But you know, it did ruffle a lot of feathers when it came out, so maybe this is GW's response. Often ill-timed as normal, but it's yeah, so it's a nerf to the formation. It's still better than nothing, but you know, not as good as it was before. The Armored Interdiction cadre, 3 units of Hammerheads, 1 unit of Skyrays. Special rule, choose a point in the battlefield. When shooting to a unit 6 inches or less from this point, you get to reroll to hit. So I'm not sure if that's at the beginning of the turn or the beginning of the game or the beginning of the phase or anything like that. It just says choose a point. So we'll have to get the actual codex or supplement to figure out how that's meant to work. But it could be really really effective if you're able to choose the point at the beginning of the shooting phase. If you have to choose it at the beginning of the game, it's pretty useless because people will just not walk within 6 inches of that point. The air support cadre, 1 Sun Shark bomber, 1 Razor Shark strike fighter, ignores shaken and stunned with a 2-up, so that's nice. Beginning of the turn, roll a d6 for each last hull point. If you roll a 6, recover 1 hull point. You know, the flyers have never been, since their release last edition, something to really boast about. They've been pretty mediocre or suboptimal in a lot of ways, and I don't see this really benefiting them that much, because when I've used a flyer in the past, generally when it gets shot at, it goes down. So I don't think that if someone is trying to kill it, these rules are really ever going to come into effect. Well, they won't come into effect very often. We'll say that. Allied Advanced Cadre, 4 units of Crute, 2 units of Vespid. Vespid get Infiltration and Stealth Forests, which is a nice upgrade for them. And then Crute within 12 inches of the Vespid get Obscured, which I'm presuming is Shrouded Forest instead of Stealth Forest, and get +1 BS. So that means that they're Ballistic Skill 4. And get a better cover save, which is pretty good, although you have to invest a lot in Crute and a lot in Vespid to benefit from that. So overall, probably not really worth it. And if they also can do supporting fire with the other units in the formation, which I'm assuming is the Allied Advanced Cadre, not the Hunter Contingent that we've been talking about this whole time. Then there's this last little bit here that explains a little bit more of that awesome Hunter Contingent rule, where they all get to benefit from the same marker lights and special rules. It says, anytime a unit of the Hunter Contingent shoots, any other unit of the same detachment that still can shoot can join their firepower to the attack. Basically means if you already shot, you can't shoot again in that same phase. But if you haven't shot, you can pile in. Those units that have to shoot to the same unit as if they were a single unit, this includes use of marker lights tokens. If 3 or more units shoot this way, they get +1 to ballistic skill. So that's something that we didn't mention at the top of the story here, is that if you have 3 or more units, they get +1 to ballistic skill anyway. So again, reducing your need for marker lights, you just get that 1 extra ballistic skill if you shoot 3 or more units at something, which is crazy, making Tau ballistic skill 4 plus marker lights. Of course, increases your propensity for damage. There's been a lot of times where I've just been 1 marker light short from something, and this special rule alleviates that issue. And then the source goes on to clarify that he thinks this is a pretty clear rule. They can benefit, for example, from the Tank Hunter or Monster Hunter, as you only need a model and a unit to get this rule. So let's say you do have that fire-based support cadre, and they're all firing at the same unit. You got, and let's say a bunch of crisis suits jump in onto that. They would get the Tank Hunter and Monster Hunter special rules as well through this rule. And it says special rules that apply only to weapons do not get any boost. So if you have a weapon that ignores cover, that wouldn't apply to the other units. But if you have a buff commander that removes cover, that would. So an important distinction there. And yeah, so let's kind of talk about impressions. Yeah, super good rules here for the Hunter Contingent. You will almost certainly want to take one of these. Because the the command unit is optional, I would probably just skip that and stick with a Hunter Cadre, which again includes a commander, and then probably take a couple units of Kroot and maybe a unit of Fire Warriors or something like that, depending on how you're feeling about it. We'll get more into that once we actually have the codex in hand, and I'll do reviews on each of the units as you might expect, and we can kind of flesh out which units are really going to rise to the top here. I don't think it's Breacher units though, guys. I don't think that's the case. I think you're going to be sticking with strike teams and Kroot. You could take some Ghost Keels and Riptides, and then if you want to take a Crisis Suit, you could probably take them as your bodyguard if you want to. Although, yeah. And then Pathfinders or Piranhas, Vesper, or drones. I would take drones, and then marker drones specifically, and then 1 to 3 broadsides, hammerhead, storm surge, or sniper. If you have a storm surge, throw that in there. Otherwise, go broadsides. At least right now, because it doesn't sound like hammerheads are going to get a D shot, which is disappointing. Get it with a D, but I'm pumped. So hammerheads probably aren't going to be any better this edition. So stick with broadsides and maybe a storm surge. And yeah, so that would be your Hunter Cadre. And then what else would we want to take? Probably not, maybe the fire-based support Cadre, but that's a little redundant with what you already have. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what other ones really stick out. I know we can kind of talk about these auxiliary, just yay or nay, retaliation Cadre. Nay, not super enticing. Infiltration Cadre, if you're going to take stealth suits, okay, but still the special rules aren't that great. Support Cadre, still good, not as good as it was, but still good. Armored Interdiction Cadre, again, it really depends, but that's a lot of investment in vehicles, which, as we know, are pretty not long for this world on the battlefield, so maybe not that great. Air Support Cadre, nay, with a capital N, and Allied Advanced Cadre, yeah, probably also nay. So I think really you're basically just going to want to stick with the Hunter Cadre, and then I guess maybe the fire-based support Cadre would be your other guy. And if you do that, you are going to be rocking. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. That also has some interesting interactions with buff commanders, since if you do have the entire formation plus whoever else from the Hunter Cadre shoot at a single unit, they would already have tank and monster hunter, so that takes a little bit of pressure off the buff commander. He can go do something else or something like that. He can fire a different unit with friends. But yeah, so I think this is pretty darn nifty. It's going to be a challenge to get all the models in a list that you want, but I think it's possible. So yeah, pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and of course stay tuned for continuing coverage of this awesome new Tau release, with a little bit disappointing that the whole codex isn't being redone, but the things that are being redone look pretty cool, guys. So stay in there and keep fighting for the greater good.